Hello everybody, welcome to the last video of this series of the 2014 ACA Code of Ethics. My name is Reggie Taylor. I am a registered mental health counselor intern in the state of Florida. I have been making a video series going through the 2014 ACA Code of Ethics. I have been studying for my National Clinical Mental Health Counseling exam, and we have made it to Section H. Section H is actually very short, and so is Section I. So this is going to be a 2-for-1 where I'm going to be going through Section H and Section I, and it shouldn't take that long. So without further ado, let's go through Section H and Section I of the 2014 ACH Code of Ethics. Section H, Distance Counseling, Technology, and Social Media. Introduction. Counselors understand that the profession of counseling may no longer be limited to in-person, face-to-face interactions. Counselors actively attempt to understand the evolving nature of the profession with regard to distance counseling, technology, and social media, and how such resources may be used to better serve their clients. Counselors strive to become knowledgeable about these resources. Counselors understand the additional concerns related to the use of distance counseling, technology, and social media, and make every attempt to protect confidentiality and meet any legal and ethical requirements for the use of such resources. H.1 Knowledgeable in legal considerations. H.1.A Knowledge and competency. Counselors who engage in the use of distance counseling, technology, and or social media develop knowledge and skills regarding related technical, ethical, and legal considerations. For example, special certifications, additional coursework. H.1.B Laws and statutes. Counselors who engage in the use of distance counseling, technology, and social media within their counseling practice understand that they may be subject to laws and regulations of both the counselor's practicing location and the client's place of residence. Counselors ensure that their clients are aware of pertinent legal rights and limitations governing the practice of counseling across state lines or international boundaries. H.2 Informed consent and security. H.2.A Informed consent and disclosure. Clients have the freedom to choose whether to use distance counseling, social media, and or technology within the counseling process. In addition, the usual and customary protocol of informed consent between counselor and client for face-to-face counseling. The following issues unique to the use of distance counseling, technology, or social media are addressed in informed consent process. In the informed consent process. And here's the list. Distance counseling credentials, physical location of practice, and contact information. Risks and benefits of engaging in the use of distance counseling, technology, and or social media. Possibility of technology failure and alternate methods of service delivery. Anticipated response time. Emergency procedures to follow when the counselor is not available. Time zone differences, cultural and or language differences that may affect the delivery of services, possible denial of insurance benefits, and social media policy. H.2.B Confidentiality maintained by the counselor. Counselors acknowledge the limitations of maintaining the confidentiality of electronic records and transmissions. They inform clients that individuals might have authorized or unauthorized access to such records or transmissions. For example, colleagues, supervisors, employees, information technologists. H.2.C Acknowledgement of limitations. Counselors inform clients about the inherent limits of confidentiality when using technology. Counselors urge clients to be aware of authorized and or unauthorized access to information disclosed using this medium in the counseling process. H.2.D Security. Counselors use current encryption standards within their websites and or technology-based communications that meet applicable legal requirements. Counselors take reasonable precautions to ensure the confidentiality of information transmitted through any electronic means. H.3 Client verification. Counselors who engage in the use of distance counseling, technology, and/or social media to interact with clients take steps to verify the client's identity at the beginning and throughout the therapeutic process. Verification can include, but is not limited to, using code words, numbers, graphics, or other nondescript identifiers. H.4 Distance Counseling Relationship. H.4.A Benefits and Limitations. Counselors inform clients of the benefits and limitations of using technology applications in the provision of counseling services. Such technologies include, but are not limited to, computer hardware and/or software, telephones and applications, social media, and internet-based applications, and other audio and/or video communication, or data storage devices or media. H.4.B Professional boundaries in distance counseling. Counselors understand the necessity of maintaining a professional relationship with their clients. Counselors discuss and establish professional boundaries with clients regarding the appropriate use and/or application of technology and the limitations of its use within the counseling relationship. For example, lack of confidentiality, times when not appropriate to use. H.4.C Technology-assisted services. When providing technology-assisted services, when providing technology-assisted services, counselors make reasonable efforts to determine that clients are intellectually, emotionally, physically, linguistically, and functionally capable of using the application, and that the application is appropriate for the needs of the client. Counselors verify that clients understand the purpose and operation of technology applications and follow up with clients to correct possible misconceptions, discover appropriate use, and assess subsequent steps. H.4.D Effectiveness of services. When distance counseling services are deemed ineffective by the counselor or client, counselors consider delivering services face-to-face. If the counselor is not able to provide face-to-face services, for example, lives in another state, the counselor assists the client in identifying appropriate services. H.4.E Access. Counselors provide information to clients regarding reasonable access to pertinent applications when providing technology-assisted services. H.4.F Communication differences in electronic media. Counselors consider the differences between face-to-face and electronic communication, nonverbal and verbal cues, and how they may affect the counseling process. Counselors educate clients on how to prevent and address potential misunderstandings arising from the lack of visual cues and voice intonations when communicating electronically. Definitely some challenges there sometimes compared to in person. H.5 Records and web maintenance. H.5.A Records. Counselors maintain electronic records in accordance with relevant laws and statutes. Counselors inform clients on how records are maintained electronically. This includes, but is not limited to, the type of encryption and security assigned to the records, and if, for how long, archival storage of transaction records is maintained. H.5.B Client rights. Counselors who offer distance counseling services and/or maintain a professional website provide electronic links to relevant licensure and professional certification boards to protect consumer and client rights and address ethical concerns. H.5.C Electronic links. Counselors regularly ensure that electronic links are working and are professionally appropriate. H.5.D Multicultural and disability considerations. Counselors who maintain websites provide accessibility to persons with disabilities. They provide translation capabilities for clients who have a different primary language when feasible. Counselors acknowledge the imperfect nature of such translations and accessibilities. H.6 Social media. H.6.A Virtual professional presence. In cases where counselors wish to maintain a professional and personal presence for social media use, separate professional and personal web pages and profiles are created to clearly distinguish between the two kinds of virtual presence. One for personal, one for business. H.6.B social media as part of informed consent. Counselors clearly explain to their clients as part of their informed consent procedure the benefits, limitations, and boundaries of the use of social media. H.6.C. Client virtual presence. Counselors respect the privacy of their client's presence on social media unless given consent to view such information. H.6.D. Use of public social media. Counselors take precautions to avoid disclosing confidential information through public social media. And that is the end of Section H. We are rolling into Section I. Resolving ethical issues. Introduction. Professional counselors behave in an ethical and legal manner. They are aware that client welfare and trust in the profession depend on a high level of professional conduct. They hold other counselors to the same standards and are willing to take appropriate action to ensure that standards are upheld. Counselors strive to resolve ethical dilemmas with direct and open communication among all parties involved and seek consultation with colleagues and supervisors when necessary. Counselors incorporate ethical practice into their daily professional work and engage in ongoing professional development regarding current topics and ethical legal issues in counseling. Counselors become familiar with the ACA policy and procedures for processing complaints of ethical violations and use it as a reference for assisting in the enforcement of the ACA Code of Ethics. I.1. Standards and the law. I.1.A. Knowledge. Counselors know and understand the ACA Code of Ethics and other applicable ethic codes from professional organizations or certifications and licensure bodies of which they are members. Lack of knowledge or misunderstanding of an ethical responsibility is not a defense against a charge of unethical conduct. I.1.B. Ethical decision-making. When counselors are faced with an ethical dilemma, they use and document as appropriate an ethical decision-making model that may include, but is not limited to, consultation, consideration of relevant ethical standards, principles, and laws, generation of potential courses of action, deliberation of risks and benefits, and selection of objective decision based on the circumstances and welfare of all parties involved. I.1.C. Conflicts between ethics and laws. If ethical responsibilities conflict with the law, regulations, and/or other governing legal authority, counselors make known their commitment to the ACA Code of Ethics and take steps to resolve the conflict. If the conflict cannot be resolved using this approach, counselors, acting in the best interest of the client, may adhere to the requirements of the law, regulations, and/or other governing legal authority. That's an interesting one. That's an interesting one right there. I.2. Suspected violations. I.2.A. Informal resolution. When counselors have reason to believe that another counselor is violating or has violated an ethical standard and substantial harm has not occurred, they attempt to first resolve the issue informally with the other counselor if feasible, provided such action does not violate confidentiality rights that may be involved. I.2.B. Reporting ethical violations. If an apparent violation has substantially harmed or is likely to substantially harm a person or organization and is not appropriate for informal resolution or is not resolved properly, counselors take further action depending on the situation. Such action may include referral to state or national committees on professional ethics, voluntary national certification bodies, state licensing board, or appropriate institutional authorities. The confidentiality rights of clients should be considered in all actions. This standard does not apply when counselors have been retained to review the work of another counselor whose professional conduct is in question. For example, consultation and expert testimony. I.2.C. Consultation. When uncertain about whether a particular situation or course of action may be in violation of the ACA Code of Ethics, counselors consult with other counselors who are knowledgeable about ethics and the ACA Code of Ethics, with colleagues or with appropriate authorities, such as the ACA Ethics and Professional Standards Department. I.2.D. Organizational conflicts. If the demands of an organization which counselors are affiliated pose a conflict with the ACA Code of Ethics, counselors specify the nature of such conflicts and express to their supervisors or other responsible officials their commitment to the ACA Code of Ethics and, when possible, work through the appropriate channels to address the situation. I.2.E. Unwarranted complaints. Counselors do not initiate, participate in, or encourage the filing of ethics complaints that are retaliatory in nature or made with reckless disregard or willful ignorance of facts that would disprove the allegation. I.2.F. Unfair discrimination against complainants and respondents. Counselors do not deny individuals employment, advancement, admission to academic or other programs, tenure, or promotion based solely on their having made or their being the subject of an ethics complaint. This does not preclude taking action based on the outcome of such proceedings or considering other appropriate information. And lastly, I.3. Cooperation with ethics committees. Counselors assist in the process of enforcing the ACA Code of Ethics. Counselors cooperate with investigations, proceedings, and requirements of the ACA Ethics Committee or Ethics Committee of other duly constituted associations or boards having jurisdiction over those charged with a violation. And when you know, that concludes the 2014 ACA Code of Ethics sections H and I. So if you made it this far, well on you for making it this far, because it is a lot of dry information but useful information. I've had instances where I've had to figure out, like, what is the ethical decision to make here, because I had a client who wanted to see me and another counselor at the same time, but Section A kind of actually explains that. So this is going to be very important information for counselors going forward in the future. If you are studying for your National Clinical Mental Health Counseling exam, best of luck to you. You got to know the Code of Ethics. It's a part of the exam. It's not a big chunk of the exam. Going forward, I'm going to be starting some video series about the exam in terms of terminology and disorders and things of that nature, so stick around for that. But again, if you made it this far, well on you. If you're studying for your exam and you're taking it soon, good luck to you. You got this. You're going to make it. You're going to be a great counselor and go make the world a better place. So again, my name is Reggie. Thank you for watching. Ta-ta.